There are lots of books coming out this week from Marvel Comics, so stay tuned to take a look inside each one of these. Before going any further, big thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us advance copies of all of these books. These books are due out in the direct market on September 1st and in the book market a couple of weeks later. So we have 10 different books, not to mention the 2 Omnis that are also coming out this week, as well as the Marauders oversized hardcover, and that's just from Marvel. So while I normally go through in depth and talk about each of these books, I am going to have to cut this episode shorter because there are 10 books and I don't want this to go on for 2 hours. I'm sure you all don't either. So again, I always put timestamps in the video, in the description of the video, if you want to jump around, if you want to skip some of the books that are no interest to you, and check that out. That's in the description of the video. But let's go ahead and get started. We'll be talking about Thor Double Trouble first. So here we have Thor and Loki Double Trouble. This is the same creative team that did the Spider-Man Venom Double Trouble, this right here. So it is Mariko Tamaki and Gurihiru, who is the artist. And I was very familiar with Gurihiru's work because doing covers all over the Marvel Universe and doing some artwork in, what was it, Gwenpool. This story is very cute. I really like it. This collects the first 4 issues, or I'm sorry, the 4-issue limited series of Thor and Loki Double Trouble, and it is 96 pages. The retail price of this particular book is $13.99. It has not been collected as a trade paperback or any other format. This is the only format that it's been available in. And like I mentioned, it's a cute book. I think my daughter read this one, my youngest daughter. She thought it was cute. You don't have to know anything about Thor or Loki, but this right here kind of sets up who these characters are. You have Thor showing up in Asgard, and then of course Loki, and immediately you know the type of characters that both of these brothers are. Loki shows up and tries to get Thor to steal something, what was it, a relic from Odin's room. And of course Thor's like, no way, but being the trickster that he is, Loki tricks him into doing it. And later on, yeah, the serpent, and the serpent here has a cute little twist, I thought. There's also Jane Foster Thor shows up in here too. And they're lost through this portal that they go through and have to make it back home. A cute little book. Again, 96 pages. As far as the extras, I don't think there's many. Yeah, we have a few extras, just some variant covers. This is a series I had no idea was out. But I do like Mariko Tamaki. I think she does an amazing job, especially when writing siblings, just based on her own independent work that she's done. And this is the type of artwork to expect from Gurihiru. Here, there's a better action shot. Nice. So, the dimensions of this book, again, is smaller than your average trade paperback. Next up, we have Heroes Reborn, America's Mightiest Heroes. These are the companions. We have Volume 1 and Volume 2. So last week, we got the Heroes Reborn trade paperback. This actually collects the main event. This collects the spin-off series, or the one-shots, and we'll look at each volume separately. So set in an alternate reality where the Squadron Supreme are Earth's mightiest heroes, here we have a bunch of one-shots. And honestly, I like the way these one-shots are done. They kind of remind me of the way that the House of M, some of those one-shots were done. That they take this world seriously, like we're looking at Hyperion and the Imperial Guard. So this is issue number 1 of that series. It's a one-shot set in this alternate reality, this taking place in the past of the Heroes Reborn realm. So this collects Hyperion and the Imperial Guard number 1, Peter Parker, the Amazing Shutterbug, Heroes Reborn, Magneto and the Mutant Force, Young Squadron, and Siege Society number 1. So this is just a flashback right here, one shot of Hyperion training with the Imperial Guard. He has a love interest with Oracle here, and of course things don't go the way they're supposed to go. Let's keep going. There's also a story in the back. Here's the Peter Parker story, where Peter Parker does not become the Amazing Spider-Man, but still happens to become some kind of superhero. Has a interesting, ironic, and tragic kind of ending. Here's Magneto and where the mutants have gone with during this time. Very similar to what's going on right now in the Dawn of X or Reign of X era. And we also have the Young Squadron. Now, one of my favorite things that they've done through these mini series or these one-shots is there's editor notes like, oh yes, this took place in Hyperion and the Squadron Supreme issue number 121. Like if those books were real. I thought that was cool. There's letter pages, I think, in some of these, and then pin-ups. But this is the Young Squadron, of course, young versions of the Squadron Supreme. Kind of like the Young Alliance team or Teen Titans, if you will. Some of these characters may be familiar in the 616 universe. This is just alternate takes on those characters. The book, by the way, has 168 pages and retails for $19.99. Let's look at the last issue in here. And this is the Siege Society, which you'll have characters like Sabretooth show up in here. There we go. Baron Zemo, the Silver Witch, which is a take on, of course, the Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. Now, there are characters from the original Squadron Supreme that you didn't see in the Heroes Reborn miniseries event, but they do show up throughout these one-shots, and that's what I like about it. And it kind of helps fill in those missing gaps over the years of what's happened in this particular reality. As far as the extras in the back, we do have some variant covers like this. They're just thumbnail variant covers. And here's Volume 2, also retailing for $19.99. And here's what it collects right here. Heroes Reborn, Squadron Savage, Marvel Double Action, American Knights, Night Gwen, and Weapon X, and Final Flight. So, I swear Gwen can't get away from that name. Spider-Gwen, Night Gwen, and here's all the credits of all the people that helped put this book together. Again, this is the other series of one-shots that take place either in the past or present time in the Heroes Reborn universe. So this one here is a team with Elektra, Frank Castle, Crossbones, and then you get to see different variations of the Marvel characters in the 616 universe. And for those that don't know, this is one of my favorite ones right here, because this takes place in the past, and it's done in the style with the colors and artwork and the way that the story is told with dialogue boxes, much like the 80s comic of Spectacular Spider-Man, including an awesome homage cover right there, because in this world, 616 universe hasn't existed. So I keep saying 616 universe. This is the Marvel Knights story with Luke Cage, who's a police officer in this particular universe. The 616 universe is the universe that we know of here, like our universe that we've been reading, like the Silver Age, Spider-Man #1, Amazing Fantasy 15, Fantastic Four #1, X-Men 1, that we've been reading about these characters since the 60s. That's the 616 universe. This universe, I don't even know what number they gave these universes, these particular universe right here. And just showing off some more of this artwork. Book has 168 pages, and this is the Night Gwen story. And yeah, she can't get away from Gwenpool, even though that character has nothing to do with Gwen Stacy or Spider-Gwen, and now Night Gwen, even though that's not their official names. And let's do one more. This is the Alpha Flight story with Wolverine, here in this alternate reality, and then the back with some variants back here. Alright, let's keep going. Black Cat, Volume 5, I believe? Yeah, this is Volume 5. I'll Take Manhattan. So, here's the back of it. This has been a very surprising series, and it's on Volume 5. This is the longest Black Cat series that we've had from Marvel Comics. In the past, I mean, we've even had Kevin Smith write Black Cat, and it just, for some reason, didn't work. This story has been so fun, and it's all because of Jed MacKay, who's the writer on the book. Just killing it on here. And having the voice for Felicia, who's a very interesting and very complex character, and still able to tell new stories with the character of Black Cat. Now, we've had the return of somebody very important to her in the past, the Fox there, and he's trying to make a deal. He's trying to help her. This is very similar to the Thor story, trying to get her help to break into this mob family's vault, where they hold this magic relic. However, he's not telling her the entire truth. He wants to have the ability to live forever. He wants to become immortal. And in order to do that, he has to trade in something very important, which has something to do with this title. Of course, things don't go the way that they're supposed to go for our characters, and something does happen to the island of Manhattan. By the way, I love this line right here. When her two goons are not listening to her. No, you listen to me, you two jerks. I'm Tony and Angela. I'm Bruce Springsteen. I'm the boss. Tony and Angela from Who's the Boss? Like, you needed to ask that. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and it still continues. The annual is in here, so this does collect Black Cat 5 through 7. That's the 2020 series when it was relaunched. And annual number 1. That one, this particular annual right here, came out this year. And as far as the extras in the back, we have some variants. Even the Heroes Reborn variant that has nothing to do with this particular book. Now, if you're wondering if Spider-Man shows up, of course he's in there, for like a panel or two. It's more about Felicia, though. I did forget to say that the White Fox shows up here in the annual, and she introduces her new team, the Tiger Division. Yeah, right here. We do have some characters that have appeared in the past. By the way, the book retails for $15.99 and has 112 pages. Alright, this is my pick of the week, and if I was doing this video like I normally would, I'd be focusing on this one a lot more. But this is Eternals. This is the new series by Kieron Gillen and Esad Ribic, but Matthew Wilson is also a big part of this. So here we have the Eternals. We have characters like Sprite and Icarus, and the Eternals are being reborn. Now, the one thing I will say about this kind of gives you an idea on the breakdown of the Eternals and what's going on in this particular story. I will warn you ahead of time, this one is some heavy reading. And sometimes that happens with Gillen's run. But you can tell that he really loved writing this story. It's really, really good. For people that have read about the Eternals in the past, or you don't know anything about the Eternals, this is one of the best jumping on points I've read in a long time. To me, this is better than Neil Gaiman's work on Eternals. Was it Kaufman after Gaiman left? Eternals was a very difficult series for me to get into, even the Jack Kirby stuff. And I realize I'm talking about Jack the King Kirby, but I don't know, I just never clicked with any of the characters. With the exception, well, there's a couple of exceptions, but the main one being Cersei, because the Black Knight, that was my dude. So, here's what the back of it looks like. The book retails for $17.99 and collects the 6-issue series. Hopefully it will continue. I don't know if it does or not. I hope it does. And of course, that's kind of a spoiler, but I mean, come on, Thanos. When does he not appear in a book? But the characters of the Eternals are being reborn through here. And through Icarus's dialogue, you kind of get caught up on who they are and who they're supposed to be, what their protocol is. There's also a murder mystery going on, and it was just a really fun book. I really enjoyed this, and I'm glad that they put this out right before the movie. The movie, I believe, comes out in November, but I think it's a really good way to get people caught up with these characters. Slowly, one by one, they start coming into the spotlight. And this artwork is what I wanted to highlight for the most part. That's why I'm flipping through here. I don't want to flip through the back because there are some things that get spoiled, such as one big thing could be in here. So Thanos, and that's cliffhanger, right? But who cares? That's the cliffhanger I was talking about, even though he's in the back of the book. So, and when does he not come back? There are bigger things that happen in this. It's not much of a spoiler, if any, really. This is how some of the variants are collected in thumbnails on the opposite side of the main cover. But the artwork in here by both Ribic and Wilson remind me of just this European style of art. Reminds me of Mobius. It's like they're channeling their Mobius. And we'll just go back to the very first chapter to kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Yeah, like the background, the cities, the landscapes. It's absolutely stunning. Even the monsters to an extent. But I had a lot of fun with this particular book. And I'm glad I got to read it, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't get to finish reading the rest of the books. So yeah, I didn't get to finish the Marvel Masterworks, or I didn't read any of the issues of Doctor Strange. But this is the reason why it's beautiful. So this book has 160 pages and retails for $17.99, collecting the first 6 issues of Eternals. And here are all the spines for you spine watchers. At this moment, I just want to remind you all to hit that like button and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, check out our Patreon and Spreadshop. Great ways to support the channel. But here are all the spines together for this week. So here we have the Amazing Spider-Man Chameleon Conspiracy. And one of the things I wanted to point out is this cover right here that is very reminiscent to one of Kraven the Hunter with all the heads back in the back. This, of course, being one of Spider-Man's oldest villains. And I guess, if you don't know, based on the title and the cover, he has returned. Now, I will say that it's not just him that has made a return. There are several characters that appear throughout this particular volume that I was surprised to see come back. It's one of them that I haven't seen in a while. I think this particular character, I just thought they rode off into obscurity because it was just such an... It was a kind of a big retcon for Peter Parker's life. We also have this gentleman right here, who is the Rose. Now, is it the original Rose, Wilson Fisk's son, or is it somebody else? You can find out by reading the book. What the heck are Robbie and Tombstone doing hanging out together? You can find all that stuff out by reading the book. I'm here just to mainly show off the artwork and doing a little bit of dialogue over it. But since I'm cutting this episode a little bit shorter, I have to be quick about this, or you could just put me on mute. So this book collects issues 66 through 69 and Giant Size Amazing Spider-Man Chameleon Conspiracy number 1. So this does go back, Chameleon, of course, being a big part of... Okay, there's one semi-spoiler with Chance, who wanted that character back. But the Chameleon had a big role to play in Spider-Man's past, mainly with his mom and dad. And if you're wondering if that comes into play... Of course it does. Whenever you're bringing the character of the Chameleon back, things like that have to come up. So this is his penultimate trade paperback. We have one more Nick Spencer trade paperback before he is off the book. I think he went all the way to issue 74, if I'm not mistaken. But most of the artwork in here is done by Mark Bagley and also Marcelo Ferreira and Carlos Gomez. Just wanted to show this particular spread page. I thought this was nicely done. Now there's other returning villains too. Let's look in the back here for extras. No extras in the back. And I just wanted to show the cover to this particular issue right here. And speaking of issues, each issue towards the back has about 2 or 3 pages of Doc Ock recruiting people for something that is coming called the Sinister War. As a matter of fact, that's how they end each of these little chapters, called The Sinister War is Coming. Whatever that means, huh? Book retails for $17.99 and has 144 pages. Captain America, All Die Young Part 2. So this is the final Ta-Nehisi Coates volume. So this is volume 5 of his Captain America run, collecting issues 26 through 30 and retailing for $15.99. Now, this is a story that I thought started off really strong. I really enjoyed the first 6 issues of this, and even issues 7 through 12 I thought were pretty good. This one here, I think, is just this particular story of Captain America, Red Skull, and chasing after him. It's just really lasted a long time. It's kind of been overdrawn. The main artwork here is supplied by Leonard Kirk, and actually he does all of these issues in here. But one of the things I will say about Ta-Nehisi Coates, Captain America, is the way that he writes him kind of reminds me a lot of the way that Mark Gruenwald wrote Captain America during his 10 years writing the character. And I don't know if he's a huge fan of Mark Gruenwald or not, but that's the way that his Steve Rogers is written. You have this man that's questioning himself whether he's actually doing something for the country, or if he's being selfish and doing something for revenge, which plays out here. So you have the confrontation between him and Thunderbolt Ross here that they're trying to rescue, and based on that cover, by the way, this cover, all the covers are done by Alex Ross, but that cover is freaking awesome. And I like the confrontation in here. So this wraps up his run on Captain America, and Volume 2 of the oversized hardcover has been expanded to include all the way up to issue 30 for those people that have been asking me if they're going to include those issues or if they're going to do another oversized hardcover. It was canceled, so it'll be resolicited with all the way up to issue number 30. So I know there was a controversial thing here, and I'm not going to get into it. I know some people were upset with something, but I will just tell you my story. That it's not political at all, but I thought people were saying that he compared Pete Davidson to the Red Skull, and I can't stand Pete Davidson. I don't think he's funny at all. So I didn't know what the big conspiracy was. Now, my mistake. Now I know who they're talking about. But that was just me misunderstanding what people were saying in the chat one day. So I'm sorry to the people that are fans of Pete Davidson. Alright, as far as the extras, we have an afterword by Ta-Nehisi Coates talking about how much it was a dream of him to write Captain America and Black Panther. And then we have a King in Black. That is an awesome freaking cover here. And then more variants back here. The book has 112 pages, and like I mentioned, retails for $15.99. Wolverine, Volume 2. This is the Benjamin Percy series, and drawn by Adam Kubert and Viktor Bogdanovic, I believe is how you pronounce his name. So, based on that cover, we have the return of Maverick. Now, the solicitation said that this collects issues 8 through 13 of Wolverine, when in fact it only collects issues 8 through 12 of Wolverine. So, again, I always like to point out what it actually collects when I do these overviews, because I know for the most part, for some reason, just these, for the most part at Marvel, they have the solicits are just about wrong all the time. I think it's because they either take away issues to add to another collection or add issues. I'm not sure why. Now, I mentioned this during my Reign of X overview, that this guy's artwork right here has really grown on me. At first, you know, I was saying that he was a Greg Capullo clone. Uncanny Omar talked pretty one day. But there's nothing wrong with starting out that way. A lot of these people that started out as a Jim Lee clone, or what we call Jim Lee clones, have blown up, and to me have almost surpassed what Jim Lee has done with his artwork. Mainly, one of the guys that stands out to me was Travis Sherris, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. That guy's artwork is stellar, and I don't see enough of it. I think he's working on a lot of European comics these days. But there are several people like that. There were people that were Todd McFarlane clones. There were people that were Rob Liefeld clones. And hell, from the beginning of time, I'm sure there are people that have been clones of Michelangelo. Or, why did I go that far back? I should have gone with Jack Kirby. Like people that were drawing like Jack Kirby or Big John Buscema. So there's nothing wrong with art-inspiring art. And I don't even know what the hell my point was. I'm trying to cut this short. Maybe that was my point. But then it's the return of Maverick, and there's an auction, and it's in Madripoor. So, of course, you have to bring back the character of Patch. Come on. Put an eye patch on Wolverine, he becomes a completely different character. Nobody recognizes the man, and they're auctioning off Maverick, as well as something very near and dear to Wolverine's arm. You can find out what happens through this story, and then the last part of this is a big fight with Dracula. So right here, this one is actually Mike. Is it Mike Perkins that draws the back of this? No, Scott Eaton. Scott Eaton draws the back issues here. It's a two-part with. It's been building up with the backup stories with this big fight against these vampires. And as far as the extras in the back, you have the full splash page covers back here. The book, by the way, has 152 pages. So here's all the covers, as well as the variants. And I mentioned vampires a little bit earlier. So speaking of vampires, Doctor Strange Epic Collection, Volume 9. Getting into the 90s stuff here, 1990 to 1991. So I mentioned vampires, and that's what this one is called, Vampiric Versus. So I've not read a single issue in here or in the trade paperback format, but I have read a lot of this stuff in my youth. As a matter of fact, this collection contains my very first Doctor Strange epic. So yes, I let time get away from me. I was reading all those trades. I was reading What If. I'm reading Loki, and I forgot about Doctor Strange and Marvel 2-in-1. Or, I'm sorry, Marvel Team Up number 6. I can't believe I did that. So I'm flipping through here for the first time with you all. This is going to be fun. Is this the blood storyline, the vampire storyline? Okay, so during this time is what I used to call the super sexy Stephen Strange years. Mainly because of Jackson Guy's artwork. So you have Roy Thomas with his wife, Dan Thomas. I think both of them wrote a lot of this Doctor Strange era. I know you have Lee Weeks in here, and if this does collect issues 14 through 33, as well as Ghost Rider number 12, you're going to get some Infinity Gauntlet stuff in here. So the first story arc is, of course, him fighting off some vampires, and that's happened in the past. I mean, I think Gene Colan actually has a fill-in issue in here. And he teams up with Brother Voodoo. And, of course, how do you fight vampires with a bunch of zombies? And there's a book of Vishanti in here as well, if I'm not mistaken, if memory serves me right. I know Jack Russell comes back for a 2-part storyline. That's the Werewolf by Midnight. And the Dark Wars. Okay, that's the other storyline that's in here. Dormammu trying to destroy the Sorcerer Supreme, using some of his loved ones and friends to do it. And I don't think that's anything new. So this stuff in here has been collected in an omnibus format in the past. I'll do that. Ron Lim, yeah, that's Ron Lim, who eventually does some of the artwork in the Infinity Gauntlet after George Perez could not meet the deadlines. Yeah, Jack Russell, he does come back in this particular storyline. There's some backup stories. I haven't read some of these in years, and I apologize. I'm usually talking a lot about these particular stories, but I'm flipping through this trade for the first time. So, this is my first issue of Doctor Strange, because this is Ghost Rider number 12, and I was collecting Ghost Rider at the time. And this particular issue is drawn by Javier Saltares and inked by Mark Teixeira. But that's about to change, because Tex takes over the next issue in issue number 13. He becomes just the artist on the book, both penciler and inker. But what I was saying is this particular story crossed over into Doctor Strange number 26, I believe. 28, I was off by 2. And this is my first Doctor Strange comic. I knew of the character, I had read about the character as a kid, but I just wasn't into him. And it wasn't until this particular crossover that I ended up getting this issue right here. See, crossovers do help sales, and that's why they do it from time to time. And then eventually, of course, Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider become part of the Marvel Edge line. And then I started getting more Doctor Strange, because he was a big part of the big crossover that was about to happen. And then I went back and got some issues, read some back issues. I don't think I owned all of these, though. I've read most of the stuff that's in here. This is, of course, the cover to the Epic Collection. But the main reason why I started getting Doctor Strange was because of this right here. Issue number 31, an Infinity Gauntlet crossover. So this all takes place immediately after Infinity Gauntlet number 1, or immediately after a certain panel. Yeah, right here, where this is what they used for the movie, the Infinity War. Instead of Silver Surfer, of course, it's the Hulk that gets knocked out by Thanos, and he's saying Thanos is coming. But this has been collected in the Infinity Gauntlet Omnibus. But I remember getting these as they were coming out because they were part of this big crossover. And again, crossovers sell. So I started getting more and more into Doctor Strange, and then going back and collecting back issues of the character. Then we have some cover art and the omnibus right here where these stories have been collected. And this is a reprinted Doctor Strange. They did a second printing of that? That's crazy. Now, as far as the extras in the back, we have this cover right here. This is just the cover art for Sorcerer Supreme number 14. Second printing of this. Oh no, Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider special. So collecting both Ghost Rider number 12 maybe and Sorcerer Supreme number 28. This is the cover to the omnibus. So it's the recolored version of this cover right here. That's what they use for the omnibus. And then we have original artwork. Not a lot of extras, but man, this book is thick. It's 504 pages. And then we have the Tales of Vishanti. These are endnotes. And the book retails for $39.99. And last but not least is the other book I didn't have time to read. But at least with Doctor Strange, I had read some of those and I remember some of those stories from my youth. This stuff, I've only read one issue, and that's this issue right here. Now, had they collected the next issue, I would have read that one too. That's the one with Captain Britain. But this is the issue I read out of this collection. So, flipping through here for the first time with you fine folks. Man, I feel like a fraud now. And this is what the Under the Dust Jacket looks like. So this is volume 6 of the Marvel Team Up. Collecting the entire Marvel Team Up series from 1972 to 1985 when this particular line is over. Here are the credits. You have Bill Mantlo. That's right, Bill Mantlo wrote I think most of the stuff towards the beginning. So, and then Chris Claremont taking over the book. John Byrne drawing a lot of it, huh? And Big Sal, or Big John's brother, Sal Buscema. Wonder if anybody ever called him Little Sal. I doubt it. You have an introduction by Chris Claremont? This is what I could have been reading? Damn it, Gillen, in your long wordiness. Alright, so here's an introduction by Chris Claremont. Starts off with Bill Mantlo was my friend. Interesting that he used was, because he's still alive, but Bill Mantlo does have a sad story. I guess I can talk a little bit about that. Here is the issue that I did have, and this is the very first Marvel Team Up Annual. So it's such an early appearance for this new team. I think this is around issue, oh my goodness, 104, 105 of the new team, if that, because this is an early appearance of the Phoenix outside of the X-Men. As a matter of fact, I don't think they even knew what the Phoenix powers were during this time. All they knew is that she had a different costume. The tones on Storm's skin, though, is a little green. Thought my copy was just a little faded, huh? Now, one thing I will say is that this particular issue has 3 writers, because Chris Claremont helped co-write. Okay, from a plot by Bill Mantlo, Chris Claremont, and Bonnie Wilford. Okay, that's who I thought. So all 3 of them came up with this particular story. And it's artwork by Sal Buscema. Yeah, so here we have this particular team. So, yeah, I want to say it was around maybe it was issue 102, 103 of X-Men when this came out. Then we have Spider-Man with the Hulk. So this is the cover right here to issue number 53. So, what does this collect? I guess we could talk a little bit about that. This does collect, as the cover states, issues 53 to 64 of Marvel Team Up and annual number 1. There's also a little bit of Marvel Premiere number 31 in here. So we'll see what that's about in a few. This is John Byrne early artwork, right before he took over the pages of Uncanny X-Men. So before the man blew up. He's drawing Hulk and Spider-Man teaming up. And that's what Marvel Team Up was to get people to write these characters and put them on a spotlight, featuring their best-selling character, Spider-Man. So Spider-Man was always teaming up with the entire Marvel Universe, whether it was Black Widow, whether it was the X-Men, as we saw, whether it was the Hulk, sometimes it was villains. But if they wanted to put somebody on a spotlight, they would throw them in this book. And, hey, Silver Samurai, so this is the one with Black Widow. Maybe I did read this one, because I was a big X-Men dork. I say was, like that's in past tense. I collected every appearance of their villains. Even the Reavers hanging out with the Punisher, or, yes, Silver Samurai here, or the Master Mold in that Hulk annual. Didn't matter. I had to get their appearances and read them. That's how much of a completist X-Men dork I was, ever since I was a kid. So we got some more John Byrne goodness. The book has 310 pages and retails for $75. Now, towards the beginning, there was an introduction by Chris Claremont about Bill Mantlo. And like I mentioned, Bill Mantlo wrote, I think, some of the issues towards the very beginning, and then Chris Claremont took over the book. So yeah, you still have Bill Mantlo writing here. So Bill Mantlo was, of course, known for writing Hulk, Micronauts, and sadly, he was rollerblading, I think it was in Central Park one day, and got hit by a car. The car sped off, and nobody ever found out who hit him. He lived. However, he was not the same. He has been in, I think he's been either at home. I know his brother was taking care of him. Then his brother passed away before Bill did. And it's pretty sad. Yeah, so he was in a comatose state for a while. And then his brain is just not what it used to be. And that's kind of putting it lightly, because he can't live by himself. He has to be taken care of. Now, this is, of course, the guy that created Rocket Raccoon and lovable characters like that. So I know that when the movies come out, I know Marvel, the MCU, Disney, or whomever, I know they help pay for some of his hospital bills. But that's really sad. I mean, he was such a young writer, and to just get hit by a car while doing something that you love to do, such as rollerblading, it's damn sad. It's a damn shame. But yeah, so it's interesting that Chris Claremont, maybe he chose those words because he said was my friend because he's not the man he used to be, right? He's just the shell of a man that he used to be. Damn. Hey, it's at the Serpent, the Steel Serpent. All right, let's get back to... Where is the Marvel premiere issue? All right, not back there. Here we have 1977, the year at a glance. So this is the calendar. Drawn by different artists. You have Gil Kane, Big John Buscema, Ron Wilson, Gene Colan. Hey, Big John. There's Conan and Red Sonja. All right, so where did they put... Aha, here it is. Marvel premiere featuring the man brute called Wood God. So this character right here, created by Bill Mantlo. Drawn by Keith Giffen and inks by Klaus Janson. Oh, that's a hell of a team right there. So this is after all the extras. They put this in the very back. And then we get an interview with Bill Mantlo from Foom. Some original artwork. And then, of course, the biographies here. And here's the biography of Bill Mantlo, where I'm sure they do a better job explaining what happened to him. Chris Claremont, Sal Buscema, John Byrne, Keith Giffen, Roy Thomas, Bonnie Wilford. I think she passed away. Yeah, she did. Passed away in 2014. Damn. And then, of course, the back where you can find other Masterworks. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for your mentees. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by near mint condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions, which ones you've been reading, which ones you've been enjoying, if you're hoping that these books will be collected in an omnibus format, an oversized hardcover format, or if you prefer the epic Marvel Masterworks format or the trade paperback route. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, ring that bell for notifications. All that helps with our YouTube algorithm and the channel keep growing. And we are on Patreon and on Spreadshop, amazing ways to support the channel. More importantly, everyone stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.